will lead me into a little bit more of gaming, but I do believe it's your Tech Bollox question this week.
I've got a good Tech Bollox question this week.
Bring it on, my friend.
Although it's one of those where I have to ask the question and then I'll have to explain what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
As is always
yours is always...
It's always that.
Mine's pretty straightforward. It's like, do you want a fucking
dog? Are you afraid
dog?
of jaguars?
Yeah.
Yes,
do
I
you
am.
like hot dogs?
Yeah. Right, so this one is, do you think internet chips will make us nicer people? Let me explain.
So, yeah, I think I know what you mean, but explain.
So in the future, the idea is that we'll have some sort of ocular implant or some sort of like contact lens. And then you'll also have like a microchip, maybe under the skin.
Yeah.
But definitely like
companies
tiny thing.
Sure.
That gives you full-time, real-time access to the internet.
Okay.
So like the Google Alexa thing and all that. Yeah.
All that
like Google Glass plus the Google Alexa.
Yeah.
So you no longer have to like touch your phone.
Sure.
It'll just be on your eye.
Multitasking at its best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But when we get to that stage where everyone's connected to the internet, it's basically part of our brain. And it's in your eye and all that. That means you can search for anything all the time.
Yeah.
So like, what's that going to do to education? What's that going to do to people lying?
Yeah.
Like I can't sit here and be like, I love that movie with that guy in it and he had that thing. And you'd be looking it up as I'm talking. And you'd be like, he wasn't in that movie. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Or you'd be like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to go to Spain and see this and this. And you're like, that's not in Spain.
Yeah.
So it's just like, when we're all that connected to the internet, it means no one can bullshit anybody.
Yeah.
All our personal profiles are accessible to everybody. So like the moment you look at somebody,
sure,
it's going to be like Tony Stark, Iron Man suit.
It's going to be
just
like,
around and be like Facebook, Instagram.
He's lying.
Yeah,
like
what school he went to, where did he work, what's he doing
only
now?
Slept 4 hours last night. And stuff like that, like pupils dilated.
Exactly.
And all that.
So you'll just have an instant like halo around somebody of all their Instagram, all their social media.
Sure.
And that's just your day-to-day life.
No, yeah.
And you just be like, oh yeah. And then anytime that someone's having a conversation, you just be like, oh, I remember seeing that book. And then like it'll come up and then you'll have chapters of the book in your vision.
Well, here's the thing though. Maybe people won't say, I remember seeing that book, because they'll basically say, I saw that book. Here you go. And then they'll just pass it to you.
Because this is what I mean about
there won't be questions.
Education. It's like, are we going to stop teaching kids?
Maybe it will be teaching them how to use that interface to its best, or something like that. Maybe it's like a way of. Also, I don't also believe that everyone's going to have that, because I don't think they're going to want that. You know how like people like to go to like old school bars or pubs, or like they like retro stuff, like cassette players, and they have record players and stuff like that. I feel like in the future, people will have this high-tech stuff, and even if it's like way in the future where basically they're like phones and everyone has something like that in them, there's still going to be a mass amount of people which I don't think don't want to have a chip, and they don't want to have that stuff. But
is that not a you either grow up with it or you don't?
Yeah.
Like the people who go to retro bars, so many of them are going to retro bars because they remember those bars. And then many of them are just going to be like, oh, this is what people used to do.
But then it's like people growing up now, and do your niece or nephews have phones? I don't know how old they are, but they don't
have their own phones.
So
but they could definitely it goes to their
they'll go through
phone,
one. So it's a bit like that. At what age do you get that you will get the chip? You will get.
But that's what I mean. Like education wise, do you need to go to school anymore?
No. I don't know actually.
Like what do we learn in school? What do you actually learn? You learn like geography, and you learn science, and you learn maths.
Technically, it's
just
all
the basic
online,
shit.
Yeah.
That you can just be like, oh, what's that over there? And then it'll just be like, oh, that's a promontory.
Yeah.
And then what happens is that the geological erosion. Yeah. And you just learn it there and there.
Yeah, totally.
Or you're just looking at something going, I'll have, how much is that and that? And then the little AR thing on your eyeballs will like add it up for you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if we've all got our own bloody Jarvis in our head.
Sure, yeah.
Why would we do all the stuff that we...
Schools might not exist,
But this is where I'm getting to with being nicer. If we don't have to teach kids how to be part of the work environment, because that's all we go to school for, learn how to do work and then become part of the workforce. Does that mean that we can just start teaching kids how to be nice and compassionate? To sort of offset the fact that now we're so public. And we're like, I think we're hitting a crest of like people are getting way too involved with social media.
Yeah.
Like there's been a couple of stories this week which were scary. I don't know if you've seen them.
Which ones?
There was one in particular I read yesterday. There was a girl in California who was drunk driving while she was on her phone on recording a video.
Jeez.
Crashed the car.
Yeah.
Flipped the car off the road. Her sister was in the car with her and she kept recording.
What?
And then she was taking footage of her and her sister had died.
Ugh.
And she's like, my sister's dead.
That's ridiculous.
This is terrible. I don't know what's going to happen. And she still uploaded to Instagram.
Yeah.
And you're just like, that's the problem now of like the social distance. Like kids who grew up in that environment, they have no compassion because everything's through that filter of it's either on the screen or it's not.
Yeah.
And if it's on the screen, it's not real.
Yeah.
So they've never had to be with people.
Yeah.
So if we can get to the stage beyond that, where you've got instant access.
Yeah.
And nobody can fake like their whole background or anything.
Yeah.
Does that mean we can start teaching kids like how to deal with stress and how to talk to other people? I think have a social life.
So, but I think there'll always be something, unfortunately. Like even though we're going to have that advanced system, we're basically Jarvis. I love that. Everyone's got a Jarvis.
Everyone's got a Jarvis.
But I always think there's going to be
Karen.
something.
You can have a Karen, Alex.
Karen.
Don't be a sexist.
Jarvis could be
Karen's
male or
the Spider-Man
female.
one.
Oh, is it? It is Karen.
The other thing about that was the woman, the voice for Karen, Spider-Man Homecoming. We're going off track. We do it. That's Jennifer Connelly.
Oh yeah.
Who in real life is Paul Bettany's wife.
Oh.
And Paul Bettany's Jarvis.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
She's one of those little nerdy
While we're
things.
on voices, just because we're on voices, is I didn't know that the Jaeger, the Jaeger system from Pacific Rim, and there's a little teaser for Pacific Rim 2, which sucks, but it's using the Portal 2 voice, and they actually asked Valve, Half-Life guys that made Portal, they said, can we use the voice? We love it. So it is actually the Portal 2 enemy woman in it. I don't know if you've ever played Portals. It's with Steve Merchant.
I know of it, yeah.
So but
the blue and the red and going.
I was like, this is dangerously close to the voice, and they were like, no, it is actually.
It's the voice.
We asked for it. Anyway, back to the topic. It's a great question. Like I do think schools will be redundant. I mean, mostly I'd say 80% you go to school for learning, but you also go for like social activities and.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, will that become? Stuff. Like if you go to school and you're no longer spending 6, 7, 8 hours a day learning just facts and geographies and all this stuff. You lose that kind of part of your brain that's involved with that. But maybe we can start teaching kids how to grow up and be happy.
I totally agree. I think
to offset the fact that now the technology is going to make us more miserable. And more detached.
We're going to be at stages, like when you get through, I don't even know what the school system's like in Canada, but when you get through, say, grade 8, when you have this Jarvis system, you'll be able to get to grade 8 much quicker than you were, if you were to going to school, because you're just learning. We're just digesting content so much quicker. So,
I think the way schools are going to go, just to interrupt you, is the VR system's going to kick in. And you'll do geography, but what's going to happen is everyone puts on their thing and be like, oh, let's go see the fjords in Scandinavia.
That's already starting at school.
And then that will interest kids in that. Rather than always being a book, you'd be like, oh man, this is cool. I like this. This is something I'd like to do. And then you would be moved into let's study more geography. But I don't think that standardized test system that we've lived with for 200 years. It can't work.
That's not going to work. No way. I mean,
what's
already
the point in sitting kids down to regurgitate information? That is physically implanted in their head. What if the chip breaks down? Well, then everyone's fucked. But that's the way it is now. If the internet broke tomorrow,
people panic.
The whole country would shut down.
I lost internet, not power. I think I talked about it 3 podcasts ago. And I was a little bit panicky. I was just not panicky, oh my God, but more like, oh my God.
You were boarding up the windows and you were just getting the pitchfork out.
I was starting to get a little bit bored.
Look at the neighbors. The neighbors are coming for our food. It's been 20 minutes. It's all over, people.
They're knocking on the door. But even right now, with... funny you mentioned this topic because school children with their books... and my niece, I think my dad was talking about your niece will kind of be going to school with her backpack with the books. I'm like, nah,
No, books are out.
She's going to have an iPad, and even by then, it's going to be something else, So that's just one small step. But the thing I find really interesting is, like you said with the geography, and you put on the VR, like back in our day, and we can kind of say that.
Oh, definitely say that. Like if you grew up pre-internet, it's definitely back in your day.
When I went to physics class, that was always fun. And we used to like mix chemicals or whatever, and that's chemistry, but we used to like mix all the stuff, and that was an interesting class. But now, like if you go to like chemistry or physics or something, they can just show off some, like you just put an iPad in front of someone and say like, this is the kind of stuff you can do, put on a VR helmet, and then see some of the tests and stuff in front of you. Like that is so much more engaging. And you just take in the content.
It's like being Ant-Man. They're like, let's take a look at the molecule.
But they
they make these giant molecules that you're sitting around and looking at.
It's just nuts. Like the way people are digesting content now. And it's like with videos. So like YouTube ads are coming to 6 seconds. They're getting rid of the 30-second ads. I think it's this year they're getting rid of them, or at some point. And it's going to be 6-second ads. And you got Vine. What was Vine? Was 6 seconds?
6-second vids.
Vine's is dead anyway.
And it's dead anyway.
But that's our attention span is like 6 seconds. And it's a little bit like with this chip, this Java strip.
And that's why we make hour-long videos and 3-hour-long podcasts, because we're idiots.
Skip through them.
Yeah.
But no, people are just digesting content so much quicker. They're multitasking as well. There's also a theory of actually learning and thinking and doing while you're asleep. So you have like 2 conscious states. So you're actually getting rest, but then while you're actually multitasking and you're doing something else, that's like a whole other thing.
Right.
So you can technically work while you sleep and then wake up and actually actually just
because I still don't understand what happens while we sleep.
But back to the Jarvis thing, I do think schools will be redundant, but it will be replaced by something. But there will also be, I'm not saying that you're saying things are going to be boring, but everyone's going to know everything. But there's always going to be something. So we're going to have these chips, and I'm just making this up. But then someone's going to have like a modded chip, and then there's going to be a TV show like that people are, or a podcast that people are into, or these chips you can hook them into PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and you can play. There's always going to be something interesting and something to pioneer and go towards.
Yeah.
By the time that we got those chips, we'll most likely be on Mars and the Moon. Then there'll be other things like.
We're already microchipping now, so it's not that
you
far
just said
off.
it. So,
but my thing again was, do you think it will make us a better people?
I do, because I think, like you said, we'll be able to get to make them a better person. Because teach them life lessons earlier on and better, and they're also going to be able to know those life lessons from videos in this chip as well. They're going to see like people's mistakes, and like if someone's got depression. We were just talking about depression with the Linkin Park dude. They're going to be able to pick that up quicker. The device is going to be able to pick it up. They're going to be able to recommend this and that. This worked for this person, and you should go see this person. We might be able to look at someone in this office and go like, "Oh shit, I didn't know, but this happened or whatever."
So that's the trade-off again. Go to the Snowden thing of like your privacy is going to go down.
Yes,
but that's what I mean about will your honesty go up?
Yeah. Interesting.
You know what I mean? Because like people will be able to look at you and they'll be able to like, hey, what's up with this guy? And they'll scan and be like, oh, he's got this disease because he's like his veins are showing here.
Or what if you got a scan blocker? So
what's the thing? It's going to become a tech war.
You've got ad blockers right now. You can have a scan blocker, and then it's going to be like plugins, Chrome plugin for like seriously, man. It will go down that way. And you're going to be able to tint your eyes, like with contacts and stuff, and then maybe we're going to be looking through like Ready Player One through these devices and stuff, and you're going to be able to look. You might be 60, but you'll be able to look like you are now.
Right?
Like you're
55.
Yeah. We're both going there. It's.
I'm a young 50.
I think it's going to be a good little future.
We won't live to see it. We'll both be dead.
I'd like to have a Jarvis in my neck.
I'd like a Karen.
A Karen.
I don't want a man voice in my head because I've already got a bunch in there already.
It's going to be powered by TomTom, so you're going to have like Yoda and Darth Vader, whatever voice you want.
I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to have a transgender voice.
That's the other thing.
It's going to be a Jarvis that's transed over to being a Karen.
It's going to go into your vocal cords and the vibrations. You're going to be able to sound however you want.
Yeah.
So That's going to be pretty crazy.
What's going on, Karen?
Yeah.
Well, it'll definitely become an augmented thing.
Yeah.
Your ear, eye, mouth. So you can just speak and it'll work.
Yeah.
Because it'll have to be connected to your phone part.
Yeah.
So you just be like, oh, hey, how's it going on? And
Sure.
the phone will start up and I'll be talking.
Well, it'll all be voice. You'll be like, connect, answer call, or whatever like that.
Yeah.
So, but
it's definitely getting... that's like, we always remember Star Trek and like the communicators and the screens and all that.
Yeah.
But that's not the way I think people like their tech now.
Right.
We like our tech to be easily accessible.
Yeah.
So if I can have something straight into my eye and I'm like, Google Maps, find me the nearest hot dog stand.
Yeah.
And then I just have to look through the real world, but there'll be a little green line on the ground.
Sure.
And then there's an arrow going da-ding, 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 pointing down. I'll be like, yeah, that's what I want. I don't want to look at a phone.
Sure.
I want the easiest, shortest thing.
Yeah.
Is just to make it a part of who we are.
Totally. Because even now, like when you get your phone out and you're like, oh, I've got to open up Google Maps. I've got to type this in.
Yeah.
You know?
I got to put, even with the swipe keyboard, like people,
I got it wrong.
People don't even like typing anymore. They have to just finger spread across it.
Hey Siri, find out the restaurants. No, find out the Thai restaurants. Delete that, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, God, you know.
Just throw your phone away.
Yeah,
You're not eating for a week.
Whereas it's like, Jarvis, Thai restaurant near me.
Yeah.
Boom.
Or it'll just be, because it'll be self-learning. You just be like, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you want?
What?
Thai.
It's going to know that you're hungry.
Do you want to go out? No.
Your iron
Thai
levels,
delivery.
You know. Yeah. It's just going to know when you're hungry.
Yeah.
You haven't eaten.
Yeah, it will. Yeah, it'll be like,
stuff like that.
Your heart rate's a little low. Maybe you want to have something to eat.
Fitness as well.
Oh, the fitness would be all
You're
over.
going to literally be taking a thing of ice cream and you're going to have calorie mode on, and then the numbers are going to be above each scoop.
Yeah, a little AR.
So, yeah, it's going to be like 300, 13.
Turn off calorie counter.
Yeah, turn off calorie.
I'm having a bad day.
Yeah. Parental lock.
And it'll also work for, like, it's going to be now I'm thinking about it, it's going to get a weird sense of connection for people.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you could take the fitness and then somebody can program in a fitness instructor who can motivate you the way a real person would.
Yeah.
So your alarm goes off at 6 o'clock and then the voice in your head, all right, let's get up, let's get going. Come on, man. You got your goals for this week and you know what, you got to get it done. And you're like, shit, I got to get up. Thanks, Jarvis. I got to get going. Got to run with it. And then all of a sudden, people are going to start forging relationships with these bloody implants in their head.
Well, they're going to be naming them different things. It's going to be like, that's a whole nother section, family members. You know how like people are like dogs and cats? It's part of the family. That's going to be like, the system goes down, you know, like the cloud goes down, you lose your photos. It's like if that breaks, it's just like, well, where's the backup? Where's the memory? Like, does it know that I haven't, I haven't done this or whatever? And then, people, and then having a voice, and like, because one of the updates in the new iOS is Siri sounds more human, like the way it says things, and it also can say the same thing 5 different ways. So it'll be like, the weather is, or it'll be like, the weather is, stuff like that. So it wants to sound.
It's getting tone changes and all that.
By the time we get these in our necks and all that lot, they're going to sound completely human and whoever we want them to
we're
sound.
definitely getting to the learning stage of the computers.
Yeah.
It's going to get to the point of, like, it happens now with your computer.
Yeah.
When you just type in X, it knows you want to go to a porn website. But if you put in B, if I pressed B on my tab, it knows I'm going to the BBC website.
Right.
Because that's the website I always, that's the website.
Or Busty Ladies.
Busty Ladies. That's the other porn website,
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, the computer's learning what your habits are.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same with the robot and the Jarvis.
Yeah.
So if you're just like, oh, fuck this, it'll be like, oh, he's in a bad mood.
Sure.
What's happened?
Yeah.
And then it starts playing some music. You're like,
How annoying would that be if it played like the wrong tune? You're like,
fuck off! I don't need this right now.
Elevator music.
Yeah. Because I know what you're saying is some people won't get it.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think that's the generation thing.
But it's also like, if it's as common as a phone and it's basically the upgraded version of a phone, most people will have it. It's like these days, who doesn't have a phone?
Right.
They always do have one. They just might have like a Nokia, But there might be people out there that don't have this chip, but they actually have an iPhone 15.
Do you know what people say back in my day?
And
then it's about the generation gap.
Yeah.
Years ago, I figured out what the generation gap was because I was like, I gotten old. I was hitting my 60s, and I was like, I know, I have to figure out what this means with the kids today.
Sure.
And the way I've always thought of it since then is, you are in a different generation when something that was exceptional for you
right
is standard for them.
Yeah.
So for us, the things that were exceptional would be cell phones.
Yeah.
Cell phones and video games.
Sure.
Actually, no, it's just cell phones.
Yeah, because video games
are standard for us,
Yeah.
but our parents do not get video games.
No, yeah.
Like, you have to sit your dad down and you have to teach him how to play Battlegrounds.
Yeah, he doesn't understand.
He doesn't get it.
He doesn't
But
understand
he
why
gets
people
TV.
are going in. Yeah.
But his grandparents would be like, oh, it was a big deal. We have to get a TV. Like, I remember stories of my grandparents.
Yeah.
On their street, there was one TV, and
Yeah,
everyone would go around and they'd all watch the one TV that was on the street for like a big event.
Yeah.
So cell phones are definitely thing, but the speed at which that's changing is very, very quick.
Technology is like tripling itself every year.
Because now it's not just cell phones, but it's Instagram and selfies.
Yeah.
To the point where now we're having these very disturbing stories of people who just cannot connect on a real level with what's going on.
Yeah.
And that girl was 18. So she's not a million miles away from us in years.
Yeah.
But in terms of generation, she's a different generation.
Oh yeah, completely. Always grown up with the phone and stuff, and
even in the worst scenario, she's still ticking over.
I know, and you'd think with the technology of today that she'd know better in some way, but maybe not. You know, that's what we're saying. Like with these chips inside of us, maybe it's even worse. Maybe we're worse off.
Maybe we're worse.
That's what
maybe
the question. The original question is.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people out there have their opinions. Let us know.
That's
a great one. We love hearing our tech bollocks questions.
But I tell you what, if we're still alive when that happens, I'm going to call mine Jarvis, and I'm going to actually, even though it's probably going to sound like a human, like hello Alex.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be like, no, I want you to sound like Jarvis.
Yeah, I want you to sound like Paul Bettany.
Martha. That'd be hilarious. Hey guys, thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, click the subscribe button.
Yeah, and as always, you can check out the full episode on iTunes, or here it's going to be posted usually every weekend. Thanks for listening.
Oh yeah.